Yeah, it's a rainy Sunday afternoon, which is why I have my curtains shut. It's kind of ugly outside. Just thought I might kind of try this out, see how it goes. Yeah, a couple, although, I mean, the good groups tend to be mostly, like, groups that are focused on craft and stuff, and, like, people who are asking each other for advice and feedback and things like that. And then the groups that are dedicated to, like, self-promotion tend to be horrible. Like, those are really toxic atmospheres. People just, like, post, their own work. Nobody pays attention to it. It gets really out of hand. So yeah, I'm not really sure what to do in terms of that. Also, Facebook has not proven to be a very good tool, because I was on exclusively Facebook for a couple of years, and that really didn't get me anywhere. I don't know if it's just the atmosphere or what, but yeah, I tried Instagram for a while, and I'm still on Instagram, obviously, but Twitter has proven to be the best so far. Because, like, Instagram, it's really easy to get lots of attention on your posts without having people follow you necessarily, but there's also a lot of people on Instagram who will, like, well, your posts don't tend to get actually paid attention to unless they're, like, immaculately gorgeous, like, sort of the effortless, artistic displays that people do. And so, like, if it's anything less than that, it doesn't look Instagram worthy. Just lots of casual interest on Instagram. Like, people will like the crap out of your stuff and then go look at other stuff and, like, kind of forget about you 2 seconds later. So that's kind of what I've discovered Instagram to be like. But Twitter, I've discovered there's kind of the most number of people who will actually engage and the most number of people who will display some kind of genuine interest. So yeah, I like Twitter the best so far. So let's see. I don't know. I have quite a few favorite characters, actually. My favorite probably has to be Minordra, who's the villain's henchman or henchwoman, I guess. I'm trying to think how much I can I can mention without spoiling things. So she leads the cult that has begun to center around my villain. She's way more invested in, like, what she views as the ethics of following him than he is, which leads to some really interesting, like, moral questions and stuff, because she's very, very passionate about following him and like, why she believes that he is the savior of the world, basically. So yeah, she's probably my favorite. But yeah, there's some good ones. Yeah, the heroine's pretty cool too. She's a decently badass 17-year-old who lives in a swamp with her adopted witch mother. There's definitely at least 2, I'd say. One of the big ones is the consequences of not being able to accept life as is with all the suffering that it provides, because that's something that the villains are very much upset about. Their inability to accept it is part of what leads them to be such bad people. Yeah, and then the other one is sort of about family, I guess. Like, what makes a family? Is it blood, or is it the relationships that you cultivate with people, regardless of, how they're physically related to you? That's a question that comes up a couple of times. With the main character obviously being the adopted daughter of a witch who took her from her real parents because her father promised her to the witch as, like, the firstborn type gig. So yeah, that leads to questions like that. Yeah, so this pretty much everything that doesn't take place in the real world takes place on Old Earth. I don't think I'm planning to do any exceptions to that ever. Old Earth is an entire planet, so there's lots of room to to go with on that. It's like the alternate reality version of it, if that makes any sort of sense. This takes place on the continent of Solson in a pretty early age. I don't have, like, the full timeline worked out, but I know that this is an earlier one. Yeah, so the continent of Solson is sort of the normal continent. More or less. It's more normal than the other ones. And this is the earlier age of Solson, though, so there's more dangerous magic going around, because the villain, Rothan, is one of the powerful warlocks of history who almost destroys many things and leads the people of Solson to kind of freak out about it. None of that enters into the book, but that's sort of the grander context that I had in mind. I haven't decided whether I'm going to put it up for pre-release yet. I've never actually tried to do that. I'm still trying to decide whether it would be worth it. I can try to work on that, though, if you think people would be interested. Yeah, I mean, I might need to do a more general survey to figure out how interested people might be in that. Because, yeah, that'd be cool if people were interested. I don't know if I exactly have one. Some people in the writing community like to refer to this as a pantser, as somebody who like doesn't really take the time to outline things, as somebody who just kind of dives right in and sees where things go. I'm like things usually turn out decently well when I do that, so it seems to be working. You know, when the ideas kind of start nagging at me, and when there's enough of them to actually make it into like a full story, I usually start writing down ideas in my notebook. Once I have enough of an idea of where the story might be going to like get a good first scene in mind, I'll usually just kind of start writing it. The one thing I guess that helps me organize things is that I have a main project that I'm working on. I have that in like a separate folder, but so then I also have an idea bin folder. If I get writer's block on my main project, I'll cheat on it with one of the idea bin projects. And it seems to be working pretty well so far. Like occasionally an idea bin project will just be going so well that it'll never even make it into the current project folder. Like it'll somehow get finished. Yeah, I'm not making a really good case for making myself sound like I'm organized, but like it has worked so far. Like I'm trying to think how many rough drafts I've finished, because I finished like 3 in the past year, which is crazy because this was the hardest year of school that I've ever had in my entire life. And somehow I managed to finish 3 rough drafts. You know, something's working. What is the meaning of life? I mean, in general, my philosophy on life is that it's good to help people and try to make the world a better place. Current project right now is called Lord of Exiles, which actually, I started that in high school, and I finished it a couple years ago, and then I cut the entire second half because I realized it was really bad. And so now I'm finishing it again, and I'm not like sick of it yet, because like it feels like this was the way the story was supposed to go now that I'm rewriting it. But like it has been a very, very long project, so like it's been sitting in my current project folder for a while, and I've been cheating on it a lot because it's a little bit of slow going. That one's set out in a desert. There's 3 siblings who start off trying to avenge their mother's murder and wind up traveling to the dark world. Basically, it's a good time. But yeah, so I think I already know actually which of my finished projects I want to try to put out next, probably next year. Yeah, I'm gonna try and do The Court Wizard. I think a noblewoman who adopts an abandoned child. Although she gets a lot of crap for it, and the abandoned child turns out to have magical powers, and she's just kind of rejected and scorned until suddenly things start getting really crazy, and then suddenly she becomes more important than anyone ever anticipated. So yeah, that one's probably coming out next.